looking to hear from you. So that's kind of a little bit of our conversation in our dialogue today. My name's John Olenek. I'm from Caltrans District 5. I'm in charge of our district's external affairs. So that's our engagement, our public information office, all of our media and legislative relations. A little something about District 5 is, for our district, we've got 5 counties and 33 cities. Our partner to the north, District 4, they've got 9 counties and over 100 cities. But I hope what's going to be demonstrated here today is that we have come together. We are one Caltrans, and we've come together to help deliver and bring about some changes and some enhancements to Highway 25 for the area we're talking about. We brought a really good team together, so just by way of introductions, if it's all right, we're a small enough group, maybe we just go around the room so you can see who we all are at Caltrans, and we'd like to meet you as well. So, Peter, go ahead.
I'm Pete Hendricks. I'm the District 5 Traffic Division Chief. And let's go here.
Paul Hirling, Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina Chavez Wyatt. I'm president owner of Farmhouse Communications, LLC, DBE, and the consulting executive director of the San Benito County Business Council.
Hi, Lester Lee, office chief for traffic engineering and signing in District 4.
I'm Tasneem Akram, regional project manager, District 4.
Steve Luke, County Public Works.
John Warren, traffic investigator, District 4.
5.
Hey.
We're one Caltrans, we're confusing ourselves.
I'm Philip Yang, also District 5 Traffic Safety Engineer.
Diane Dostlik, Caltrans District 5, Branch Chief for Traffic Safety.
Noel Cody, California Highway Patrol, Hollister Gilroy area.
I'm Jill Leal Andrade, and I'm the regional planning liaison to San Benito County. I'm with Caltrans District 5 Planning.
Hi, Steve Rosati, Hollister resident. Connor Murphy, Hollister resident.
Tony Galvez, Spore Farms.
Paul Gaines, Cal Fire, Battalion 5, Falls Creek Battalion Chief.
Bryce Munzer, San Benito Monterey Unit Battalion Chief.
Tim Gillio, Santa Clara County and San Benito County Farmer.
Cesar Romero, Tanner Murnick. Joe Tanasha, Tanasha Farms.
Allison Roner, landowner.
Dominic Ursa with Speaker Reeves' office.
Shaylee Askew, I'm with Senator Mayor's office.
Andres Rodriguez, Assembly Member Reeves' office.
And
Christine Young, County ODS.
very good. And one more guest.
Kathy, introduce yourself, please.
Kathy Alameda, usually 5 to 10 minutes late, so nice to see all of you.
So again, we really appreciate you being here. This is an earlier phase of an enhancement project that we're going to be doing within our safety program. You're going to hear a little bit about the intention and the goals of what we're trying to do. But we're also here to say that we know and we are aware that there have been the collisions happening in this segment of Highway 25. And part of our process is doing an investigation and bringing a group like this together so we can start early on sharing what's going on. We want you to walk away, if you have questions, and if there's an answer to it, we want to be able to answer the question. So we're just trying to be transparent. We're not hiding behind what might be like what Caltrans is doing or not doing. We brought you here today so that we can be transparent and share what we know and what we've developed up to this point. There is still more to come in the process of developing the improvements. But it was an important milestone to bring this group because we want to hear from you as well. There's going to be some things you hear about potential solutions that might involve some diversion of your daily trip. We don't know where that's going to go, but hearing what you have to tell us today is going to help lead and inform the conversation. And the Caltrans team that's here, that's developing these projects, needs to hear that, so that the project itself can be designed and help deliver what is the best solution with the situation that's going on. So again, a little something today. Thanks again for joining us. Peter's going to give a little bit of a project overview in just a moment. We're going to talk about the purpose and need of the situation, and then we want to hear from you. So this is hopefully collaborative. We're here to take notes. No decisions are being made today. We're just here to get that feedback so that it helps inform the process and we can answer your questions. There's a couple boards. They're just some of the slides of the maps that we have in the presentation. So if you needed to take a picture or if you had any conversation about that afterwards when we're done talking, we're happy to visit as well. So that's our introduction. I'm happy to jump in and help facilitate along the way, but Peter? any
Yeah,
other
mic, no mic. Can you hear my voice?
Okay.
I prefer no mic. Okay. Yeah, Pete Hendricks, Traffic Division Chief. So, in District 5 and District 4, we have traffic safety and operations under us in District 5. In District 4, it's a little bigger of a house. Traffic safety is under Lester's division. So our responsibility is to investigate locations that come up either on a discretionary basis, so input from the public. And we heard input from the public, but we have also had prior investigations along this corridor at different times due to different circumstances. That said, there were a series of horrific crashes, which I think we're all familiar with, which we were requested to look into, even though it didn't necessarily trigger in our monitoring systems. So Caltrans has monitoring systems for every mile on every state highway throughout the state of California, and they're being monitored routinely. So if you didn't know that, that's a fact. So that said, we looked into this with our team, and we were looking into the circumstances of the crashes along with CHP, incorporating some of the more recent crashes to see what kind of patterns were there and what potential kinds of things that we could do. And this is both in the District 5 side and the District 4 side. So this was a joint investigation because the problems really stretched from 101 down to San Felipe. And we have had prior investigations at these locations. We've had different monitoring reports that have made us do certain types of improvements. You see rumble strip, I'm sure, you drive over it makes a lot of noise. Well, that's on purpose. That's a safety system that we put out on the highway to give people an audible notification when they're running off the road, which is the #1 crash type in California. So that said, we did a joint investigation. We started in earnest last fall together, and we started looking into things pretty deeply. And some of the investigators are here today, and we relied on information provided from CHP that wouldn't normally be available to us to be able to respond quicker and gain greater insights. So that said, we did these joint investigations, and based on our investigation, we feel like we can, well, not we feel, we qualified 3 projects, which is pretty unheard of for the stretch and the magnitude of money put into the highway. That based on our investigation, we have to do this. We have to do something at this point. It qualified. We see that these countermeasures will work, and so that's what we're here today to talk about with you. And then just, if you have any questions, ask questions. You want to talk about it? We want to hear about it. So you're going to be hearing things that are potentially going to affect your access that you use on Highway 25. But the thing is, our countermeasures that we're proposing today with our project ideas, they will work. And so what we know is that the barrier on Highway 25 in San Benito County, it works. What the problem is there's gaps. And we need those gaps for access, right? But the problem is that's also where those roadway departures are happening and the fatal crashes are happening on the San Benito side. And so, but we have some proposals that we want to put forward, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So that said, we just have a few slides here, and then you're going to hear from Lester Lee to hear what the project is on the District 4 side, and maybe some of the compelling crash types that went into those decisions to qualify that project. Yeah, okay. So this is the District 4 side. This is just a little bit of information. It's about 2.5 miles. Lester, why don't you stand up?
Yeah.
And then on the, maybe you talk about
All right, no
kind of
worries.
things that you saw.
As Peter was saying, the District 4 side of Santa Clara 25 is about 2.56 miles long. It's basically a rural 2-lane arterial or principal arterial through the corridor. It's mostly agricultural and commercial kind of land use out there. Posted speed limit out there is 55 miles per hour, and so, and the traffic out there is mostly commuter and regional traffic, through the areas, and so, and we did see rapid traffic growth, and then also a lot of truck presence out there. The safety features currently out there are 2 sets of double yellow lines. We do have raised pavement markers out there, and we have, as Peter mentioned earlier, we have rumble strips not only on the center line, but also on the shoulder. And so, the intersections that we have out there are mainly the US 101-25 the interchange, and then we have 2 intersections with Bloomfield and Bosa Road out there too. And we have numerous access points along that corridor. And so.
You're going the wrong way.
No worries.
Okay, and then on the District 5 side, the San Benito County side, we got about 8.5 miles. We have existing barrier. It's temporary barrier, but it's been working. Ideally, we put permanent barrier, but in this case, there was temporary barrier use, and it's been working. So some of the features that we see out there are double yellow lines. We see 2-way left turn lanes, but we also have some pavement markings that don't make a lot of sense. We have center line rumble strip and edge line rumble strip. So center line is in the middle of the highway when you cross over into the opposing direction, and edge line is on your right side when you're veering off to the right. And then our crash cushions are hooked up directly to the temporary barrier, and that has not been going very well from a performance standpoint. Ideally, those things, they get hit, but they don't damage the rail behind it. So that's, we'll get into that later on when we get into our project. So we have more intersections and we have more driveways on the District 5 San Benito County side, but that makes a lot more sense. There's a lot more farms and local road intersections, and also 8.5 miles. So that said, let's keep moving along. Let's get to the meat of our conversation, which is to talk about the projects. And so maybe we hear a little bit about the crash types that you saw, and then what kind of what your project is aiming to do to address that.
So the collision history that we've seen, and this is from a 5-year collision history on the Santa Clara side. We have a total of 215 total collisions in the corridor, and unfortunately 16 of them are fatal and serious injury type of collisions out there. Again, the time frame that we were looking at was from July of 2019 to June of 2024. And at that time, we did have 3 fatal collisions out there. And so, and then that doesn't include the one that we had in October of 2024. So to date, we've had 4 fatalities out there. And also with that, we also have 13 serious injury collisions out there. The predominant type are the rear end type collisions, but we do have 27% broadside, and that's probably part of those 3 fatalities that we have out there. The one fatality that we did have in October, it was a centerline crossover, so it's a head-on collision out there. And so primary collision factors out there are speeding, and then 33% is about failure to yield, 9% is improper turns, and then the rest are either other violations or influence of alcohol, those type of collisions. Let me kind of go over sort of the proposed project that we have for the Santa Clara side. As shown on the screen, we are kind of taking the project sort of in between the ongoing 101-25 interchange that you see on the west side of the interchange, and we're going to approach onto the District 5 side, close to the Tri-Cal facility. So with that, we are proposing to install a medium barrier similar to what you see on the District 5 side. Currently, there's no medium barrier in there, but we do have some constraints too. We have 2 intersections, as I mentioned earlier. We have Bloomfield Avenue and Bosa Road. We also do have an ongoing project that we're working with a local, I think this is a green waste agency, to come in with an encroachment permit to do some improvements on the left turn pockets and things out of that facility. And so The other parts of the project that we're doing is installing dynamic speed feedback signs. This will help with, as I mentioned earlier, there was quite a bit of speeding on the corridor. And so with the speed feedback signs, hopefully we can get some feedback to the motorists in terms of their speeds out there. We're also looking in enhancing the signage along the corridor, especially through the local access, either adding stop signs for them. On 25 itself, approaches there, we'll probably put some more additional warning signs at the approaching intersections. And so along with that, we're also proposing to do some striping upgrades or enhancements through the corridor. And then I think the other one was, also on the local access routes, I think we're gonna add some additional signage to help with signage for the cross traffic. That cross traffic does not stop. So those are the preliminary findings that we sort of have that we're trying to put into this project on the Santa Clara side.
So Lester, if I could just, so to reiterate, for the segment that's, we're seeing here, we're talking about median barrier, we're talking about enhanced signage, enhanced striping, signage on the approach roads as well, and what were the other?
Oh, the speed feedback.
Speed feedback signs.
Yeah.
So when there's an investigation, what's the result or proposed correctable actions? And at this point, this is what's being investigated as some of the proposed correctable actions.
Right, what's really important about this highway safety funded projects is they are a special type of funding, and they can't, it doesn't play well with others. It's very singularly focused in its address at targeting the problem, but it has to be a discrete problem. It can't be a $50 to $80 million problem. It can be a $6 million problem or an $8 million problem at best. And so that said, this program doesn't widen roads. It's not going to add capacity. It's not going to build a new interchange. It's going to be doing things in a very economical, effective manner to address the safety problem to the best of our ability. Okay, so just hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. And if you have more questions about that as we move on later, feel free to ask. All right. Are you good?
Yeah,
okay.
Good. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Lester.
And you're probably thinking of things to ask. We're happy to. We got plenty of time for conversation when we're done. So feel free to. We'll catch all your thoughts too.
Okay, so talking about the San Benito side, so we had less crossovers, but we still had crossover or head-on crashes happening on the District 5 side. And so we also saw a lot of risky movements. People were passing fast, extremely fast on the right. People may have been passing in the median turn lane, suicide lane. Anyway, a lot of risky behaviors, unfortunately ending up in a fatality or serious injury. So that said, there's some different countermeasures that we were proposing in addition to the kind of broadside collisions that we saw at Shore Road. And so we're proposing an intersection improvement here, and this really needs to go along, oops, wrong way. It really needs to go along with this project because, again, one of the proposals with this project is to put in temporary median barrier. So if we're going to be limiting access, we're not prohibiting full access. In other words, left turns from a local road onto the road turning left to go to the 101. So now some of those people are going to have to go right. Well, where are they going to go right to? Where do they turn around safely? So that's one of the main reasons we need a safety improvement at Shore Road. And so that's what we're proposing to do here. So we'll see an intersection improvement project. It might be a signal, it might be a multi-lane roundabout to handle the traffic at this time. But no matter what we do, we're going to be accommodating the type of truck traffic and regular traffic to be able to turn around at this location. Okay?
So Peter, what you're describing is diversion, essentially. Vehicles that used to be able to make a left turn will now have to make a right. And if their destination is still where they previously were able to go, we'll have to have a place for them to make that safe U-turn to make that movement. That's diversion. And that is factored into the analysis further decisions, the traffic analysis and the investigation about what to build and where these people are gonna go so that they can get back to their place.
But the public road intersections, I mean, from a conceptual standpoint, will remain full access as they are now. So there will still be openings in the barrier that's put in on the Santa Clara side. And then on the San Benito County side, we're not touching the barrier other than to put in anchor blocks to make the crash cushions more resilient to crashes. So that said, the third part of the investigation focused on the segment basically from Shore Road down to San Felipe Road. And what we saw were all kinds of risky behaviors going on. So what we are proposing to do is to make the safety features consistent from Shore Road to San Felipe. That is, rumble strip is going to be consistently applied where it should be, that's center line and edge line. And then we're also going to see better nighttime visibility by way of new pavement markings and reflective pavement markers on the barrier and on the ground or on the pavement. So, do you have any more to say about that, Diane? Okay, all right. So Diane's the branch chief over the traffic safety investigation teams. So her team members are in the audience as well. Looked into this extensively. And so that said, that's going to be this project. So these are the 3 safety projects being planned for Route 25 starting next week. So some of these will go sooner, unless there's, well, the plan is some of these will go sooner because they're just easier to build. This segment should be easier to build because it's all within the roadway. And then the Santa Clara work will also should be fairly simple. Yeah. Intersections tend to take a little bit longer. We may require right of way around the location. We may need property to build this. So that's where intersections get a little tricky. Sometimes people are willing or less willing to give that up. So the details of all these projects, we will have a lot more detail as the project gets in development, and we will have another opportunity to come back to the community to share those details. But the intent right now is to share these details with you all to get feedback, any kind of questions that you have. We intend on having another public meeting in a month, 2 months, to share this information again with the public. As the projects start to get into the project initiation phase, there may be additional information that we can share. So that said, I want to stop talking and I want to see if there's any questions for Lester and I. Yeah.
So when did you say it starts?
These will, the initiation of these projects start next week, July 1st.
And do you project to finish?
Yeah, this is, the different projects will be.
What you mean by initiation? Maybe.
Yeah.
The projects start. They start getting developed. Engineers get assigned, project studies.
Completion, what is your estimate?
That's gonna depend on the project. So I think the two corridor, the Santa Clara side, that will be 2 to 3 years.
We're kind of fast paced, the Santa Clara side, maybe 2 to 3 years in development, maybe 6 months to a year in construction, so maybe 4 years out.
So this entire thing is all temporary, because we're talking about a much bigger project?
You're talking about a much bigger project. So again, these things triggered because of actual crashes. So we can't walk away from this. These investments, this will save lives. And so those lives, yeah, it's worth it. If we only had this out there for 2 years, it would be worth what, $22 million total we're going to spend. Yeah. It's worth it. So yeah.
Can I recommend that you work with the local community during our ag season and not do work during the ag season? We just had to live through 156 expansion, and our concerns and our voice was not heard. And it was a huge problem for us locally, for our equipment, our employees, our product. to get anywhere, and it fell on deaf ears. So I would really appreciate the fact that you think about who all has to use this. And we don't wanna be a bother to you. Right now, if you started this project today, we would bother you tremendously because of the amount of equipment and personnel and product that moves through here. I'm just asking to work together because it certainly didn't work on 156.
Okay.
Is
Sorry to hear about that.
is the timing of this, I'm assuming the timing of this is getting rolling here quickly, because 156 theoretically is finished through San Juan. That's what this is about, because this is all gonna get diverted through San Juan
So,
Valley?
separate endeavors, you know, the 156, it's near its completion, as you all have seen, and these projects, these actions are based on the crashes, so this is response to that. So it's separate projects, separate paths, to the extent that when it's developed, when we know when the construction season will be, we'll be having ongoing dialogue and communication with everyone for the development. I think, Lester, you said like maybe for the Santa Clara, like 6 months worth of, 6 months in construction?
Yeah, 6 months to a year in construction.
6 months to a
Yeah.
year, so, you know, there's kind of, it's a little tricky, there's nuances to that, because there's certain seasons that it's, you know, better to work in construction, there's certain permitting requirements we have, you can't work in these months, you can't work in that month, but we'll just do our best to communicate what we know is coming up, and many times in construction development, we are able to do minor pivots and changes, special events happening, things like that, but this is the initiation, and a couple years worth of, 2 to 3 years worth of project development, and then a year, let's just call it a year of construction. So we're here today at the very beginning to get this inputs, and we want to keep and have continuous conversation along the way. Diane, and then
Just clarification, what is considered your ag season?
Our ag season.
Yeah, what
here.
months?
Well, we start up in April and we finish in November.
I don't think you're saying ag is the only concern.
No, I'm not,
Yeah.
125 is the freeway, I mean, we've only gotten to, it ways in and out of here to go to Santa Clara, so, yeah, it's commuter traffic, it's ag traffic, but I'm saying, when I say ag, I'm talking about the, semi-truck traffic that
Okay.
comes through. And my other question, now that I have the floor, is at your roundabout, at 156 and 25, how many accidents have been noted there?
It depends. So property damage only crashes,
I'm sorry?
property damage crashes have been occurring, which is fine. It's the serious injury and fatals have been, well, there have been 0 fatals. How many? I'm looking at you, Noel. Serious injury, I don't think I think that's been 0. I know there's been minor injury.
That's accurate, yes.
Yes.
So, but if there's no injury, it still slows traffic down. So that isn't a concern, it's just the death and injury, just for clarification.
That is a priority for Caltrans. It's a new focus. So we are less interested in property damage only. We are more interested in eliminating fatal and severe injury crashes by 2050, hopefully 0. That's our plan. So, lives affects all of us. We lose family members, we lose friends, and so there's a cost that goes along with that. It's a financial cost, it's an emotional cost. Those are the costs that we're trying to eliminate and focus on. Property damage only, I think the insurance industry can live with that. I think that's something we could all live with if we could eliminate fatal and severe injuries. So far, the Turbo Roundabout has been a great example of that idea in motion. So
it solved and overnight solved the problem of the fatalities and serious injuries. So those are the type of things we are pursuing and trying.
yeah, and operationally, there were some benefits as well, even though it was a safety project, right? I don't think you see nearly the backups that they used to see at that location. Yeah?
So, I'm sorry, you had your hand up.
Oh, I just wanted you to clarify that because you talked about project initiation. Project initiation is not on the ground project initiation, it's on paper. So you're going to do the design and everything. Nothing is gonna happen on construction or on the road until the last 6 months of this 3-year project, right? I just want you to
Thank you for
clarify
that
that.
clarification.
Again, it's
Yeah.
initiating the process of bringing the engineers on, doing the environmental work, doing more of the analysis, making the decisions on what are the right solutions, designing them,
Right, because
and
nothing
then,
is gonna happen on the road until probably
that's
2.5
okay.
years from now.
and, you know, we're here today, we're talking, we're glad to take this feedback. This is not the last time you're gonna see us. We're gonna have a meeting like this in a few months, more of a public meeting, because we feel that's important as well. And of course, everyone here is invited to that, and you all will have heard it first. And your input today is gonna have an important part, or even playing into some of the actions that we take and go forward on the project.
We had two questions here.
Steve, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Two questions. When the work is being done on 25, in both counties, or both districts, whatever, is there gonna be an exchange of timing on work not occurring on Shore Road and Fraser Lake Road at that time? Maybe switching off and on, you know, if there's a lot of work that comes up and is done at Fraser Lake, to kind of coordinate where they're located, because, you know, the commuters are going nuts, and they're the ones that are just so vocal and creating, and I don't blame it, you know, a lot of the uproar. Justifiably, I'm not on the road, I stay home, I can afford to stay home, so I do it, during these peak hours. So anyway, other people can't. Is there a time, because plenty of times I've been out there, there's projects going on both roads, and as mentioned, there's only 2 ways to get to Santa Clara County. So if you're, can't make us happy, you know, we're getting the work done, it takes time, but when there's only 2 routes, I'm sorry, you're gonna have, one of them's gonna have to eat it when the other one's working, and vice versa, anyway.
So you're talking about coordination with county projects, because you said Fraser.
County
Yeah.
and or district, Caltrans.
Yeah.
You know, so that they don't, I mean, if it means switching afternoons, I guess it's pretty costly, I guess I'm saying things that are just ridiculous, but I don't have to live it, I don't care really, but, you know, I have to hear it, and it hurts you, it hurts the impression of Caltrans and the county, and et cetera, so, anyway.
Yeah, in the typical project, even in the project development phases, we do have a traffic management plan, and that usually handles impacts to motorists during construction activities. And so I think
And just my second question was, and this is kind of crazy, but the funding that goes into this, are you talking shop money goes into this, or is it a
What?
funding source like
How
shop?
do you know about that? Are you, you know about shop funding?
I don't know, I've read about it in the paper.
Oh, okay, great.
That's good. I mean, essentially, the way transportation money and tax money goes for your gas tax, that the top 25% of all gas tax money comes to Caltrans, and that's how we maintain, that's how we operate, that's how we pay our salaries, that's how we turn our lights on and everything for our facilities. The majority of that money, the 75%, goes to the local agencies. So for example, the San Benito COGS, the Santa Clara VTAs. So of our portion, our money, it is part of the shop funds. It's the part of the safety program. It's actually some of the top tier money. So its priority is given to when projects like this come up because of what we're trying to respond to. That it is given the top priority. So it is Caltrans shop money. Yes.
So it is, so we are, it's the same thing, one and the same, what you're talking about.
Yes.
A different program within the overall, but yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Good questions.
Can I make a couple comments on, because I
Please.
work out there? But I have one question about that shop deal first that just came up. So what do you get off electric vehicles?
That's a.
What kind of money you get off electric vehicles to use? Zero, right?
So
Not through,
versus,
not through
funding?
gasoline tax, but, you know, through registration and whatnot, but that
That's
of
just-
course
that's-
is a.
but you don't get anything like-
A state and a national sort of endeavor and interest.
Yeah, that's the sad part.
Yeah.
We got a lot of electric vehicles.
But they're looking at road users, right? Road user
Who's,
tax.
who's,
Yeah.
who's paying for it? The ones that are buying gas and diesel.
Yeah.
But anyhow, access is crucial. I wish it would have been a little bit more foresight in getting a hold of some of us that have to deal with that road on a daily basis to make a living. But we gotta have access in and out of our ranches. That roundabout, I am blessed to have 2 corners of it. It's a blessing in the case of not fatal accidents, but it's your problem with everything else because of the frustration it creates, because there's never any breaks in traffic anymore. And there's no breaks in traffic, so everybody comes shooting out of there. I, years ago, started hauling equipment in and out of my ranch as much as possible, when I should be able to use the road because it's not wide equipment. And now we're even spending more money getting equipment in and out of my ranches because we can't get in and out of my ranches because of the roundabout. We have no breaks in traffic. So we find ourselves going down to Hudner Lane, making a U-turn there when the traffic breaks coming at us, to go back, to go down by Chapin's, to cross again, to get to the other side of my ranch. And this goes on all day long. I'm out there 4 or 5 times a day. Sometimes I can sit there 5 to 10 minutes waiting for traffic to break for me to get across. More concrete barriers, good idea. Shore Road, you probably need a roundabout, but not having a break in traffic, you just created some safety problems because of the frustration. I mean, I know that there's no fatal accidents, but it's a nightmare for us. And then if you're gonna have us have to go further to turn around to get back to the ranch, to get to the other side like I have and Tim has or Rakovich's have, the increase of cost to our operations is through the roof. It really is. Because now I'm dealing with, you know, class 1 drivers, I'm dealing with low boys, I'm dealing with numerous other items that I don't have to deal with now. And then the roundabout has got to be a problem for me because you guys built something and never took care of the water that runs off of it. And it ends up being a food safety problem because every time it rains, I got flooding in my fields now. Never used to have it before a roundabout. And Caltrans has done nothing about it. Nothing about it. I mean, it's one
Have
thing.
you made inquiries?
Absolutely.
Okay, to,
Caltrans District 5 down there, but I get
Okay.
0. Even when the construction was going on, they
Okay.
refused to meet with me. But, you know, it's great, you guys are drawing something up. But if you haven't come out there, maybe spend some time with some of us, call us up and come out there, ride with us for half an hour to see what we're doing, to try to understand what we need. I mean, I'm all for a safe road and I want people to be able to go back and forth safe, but I want my employees safe too, and myself. And I don't have a safety feeling anymore now that I don't have a stoplight. I know there's less wrecks. I mean, there's more wrecks, but like you say, it's just property damage. Until one of them says they got a kink in their neck and they're suing you for $3 million. I got that going on now. Yeah, it's great, but it's not great. I don't know how to say it.
It's a tough business to try to find the least worst.
the least
The
worst.
least worst, but I think you
Right.
guys need to come out there and not just visit with yourselves out there on the side of the road like I see you guys do, and get involved with some of us to understand what's going on. And I think that's being seen on another level with Highway 25, being involved to see what goes on, all of a sudden it looks different. It might help you.
Very good.
All right, Joe, right?
Yeah.
Did I get that right? And did you sign in with your phone number?
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. All right.
In the back, sir.
Yeah, so that's probably more focused at District 4. So I know you guys aren't talking about it right now, but you're doing the flyover from 150 or from 101 to 25. How much do you anticipate that lessening the cross traffic, making the left turns going southbound 25 from Balsa and Bloomfield? Because a lot of the traffic right now is being pushed off of 101 to try to beat that traffic, and then that's where you're getting a lot of the accidents as they cross that traffic. When that's completed, I would imagine it would increase the safety quite a bit, because you wouldn't have that traffic crossing anymore, or
At Bolsa.
yeah, at Balsa and Bloomfield, or are you looking at, you know, closing that left turn there so there's not that chance of
Yeah.
accidents?
We've actually, just let me correct me, I think we did some operational improvements there. We did put out signage out there to limit left turns from Bolsa during I think the evening
The peak
peaks, right?
hours.
Evening peak hours too.
It's not enforced.
Yeah, I know.
So
And
I
that's the
didn't know
thing
those were
about
still
what
there
they're-
because everybody's doing it and.
It's not enforced.
Okay, so I didn't know the signs, I never make that left turn just because it's, you know, it's insane to make that turn there, but, I just assumed, once you guys did the improvements, they took the signs down, people are still making those.
No, I think the restrictions are still there, right? And so, but yeah, with the 25-101 interchange being, hopefully when it gets completed, some of that bypass won't go through both of them.
With this new safety project, what he was saying is that, are we gonna eliminate the left turn at Balsa on the 25?
No, the safety project is not going to eliminate it, and so.
So there'll be a barrier
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
comes down and comes around the corner, and you'll be able to get through the barrier, or?
Yeah, well, there'll be breaks in the barrier similar to what you see
It'll
on
be
the district.
offset from the intersection, so you have time to get out and then taper off to get into the lane.
I pulled that tree out that's about 200 yards south of there, because that's the main reason why people are sneaking out, because they can't see around that tree. I've been
Okay.
wondering why somebody's not taking a chainsaw cutting that tree down. It's on the north side of the road, and it's only about 200 yards down, but people are creeping way out into the road just to look around that tree. Had to do it about an hour and a half ago.
Whose property is that tree in?
I believe now it's owned by Z-Best. It used to be owned by the Roberts family years ago. But I believe now Z-Best owns that.
Is there gonna be some sort of barrier in front of Z-Best? Or is there gonna be some movement to that intersection? Cause that's a huge cause of accidents as well.
Yeah, so Z-Best is coming in with an encroachment permit to do some left turn pockets out there. So.
Yeah, just to add in, Z-West, is currently working with us. At this moment, they're coming with an encroachment permit. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to improve their ingress and the egress point there. So they can make left turns safely, and also they're working with us so they can work with the adjacent, property which is maybe within 100 or 200 feet before them, to have a safe left turn access. So the project probably will come on board with us through an encroachment permit by end of summer. They're constantly working with us. We are aware of their plans. But when the final plan comes, according to the Caltrans process, we'll evaluate. And we'll also work with our safety group, traffic safety, Lester's, projects, and we'll see what kind of improvement they're doing and what we're proposing, so we're not overlapping,
So there will not be a barrier in front of Z-Best?
Yes, they're not, it's a left turn access, the access will be open.
I think you said earlier, the public road approaches will still remain open.
Yeah.
And both Bluefield and both sides will be open still.
Steve, is it Steve?
Yes.
No, not,
Oh,
you're
no.
Steve, but I
I'm
thought.
Steve.
Tim.
Jim.
Gilio.
Yeah, Tim, yeah, I just had another question about the slide that you have up now, from Shore to San Felipe. Is that orange line a whole barrier? Is that what the safety proposal is, or are we gonna get maps that show us where the new barriers are? I know there is a barrier from Shore down, but right around Hudner Lane somewhere, there isn't a barrier.
Okay, yeah, so this segment, this is where the barrier is being proposed in the Santa Clara side.
Okay. What about San
And they will show more clarity as to where the barrier is gonna stop and start.
Sure.
As the project gets initiated next week and plans start getting put together. Were you also asking?
No, I was talking about that one there, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so the San Benito side, the barriers are staying exactly the same. We're only changing the ends to put in what's called an anchor
We're
block.
not adding new barriers.
You're not
is what
gonna
I'm
add
saying,
new
yeah.
barriers?
On our, no new barriers are getting added on
Understand,
the
okay, so that orange line
San
isn't
Benito
one
side.
of,
That's just the project limit line, just kind of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
limit to the north, to the either end of the project. Just kind of showing the scope and area. of
It's just a
it.
graphic.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So at the 156 roundabout, traffic is already backed up to 101. What's the second roundabout at Shore Road?
Okay, so your statement is that at the roundabout
At 156?
and 25,
Traffic is already backed up to 101. What's the second roundabout on Shore Road?
So he's saying the northbound traffic on 25, the roundabout's so efficient, it shoots it through to 101 and then it backs all the way back up down the
okay,
highway.
I see, okay. Thanks.
So where the light would hold people back, the roundabout's really efficient and just push the problem into Santa Clara, basically.
Right. With the interchange getting reconstructed, I mean, is that not gonna be a more efficient operations? Like,
The pinch is
I don't.
at the roundabout.
What's that?
The traffic holdup is at the roundabout. It's not coming off the highway. So if you put a second roundabout in the middle of that, you're just gonna.
Yeah, so
you're talking,
it-
you're talking in the afternoon.
So the roundabout is not gonna be affecting the lack of gaps, as Joe was pointing out? And so, that's, if that's the alternative that goes forward with Shore Road, that doesn't have to be the alternative that moves forward, so that is.
What he's talking about is true. In the afternoon, we have the reverse. So the roundabout's holding up the traffic and it's backing up back towards Gilroy. And it's creating a whole different deal. And if you look at what happened over in 156 with the new highway and the roundabout, you have the same deal. Everybody's shooting through and you get over to 101 and it's backed up from the interchange past the Rancho Laria's turnoff. I mean, you're just you move the traffic jam down the road. And coming back to town through San Juan at certain times, the roundabout is handling it, but then there's the backup from Union Road and everything else. And is it changing anything? No, it's just making you get to the backup quicker. And that's what's going on out there right now with that roundabout. At certain times, it's a backup up at 101 because they get up there too quick. And then there's a backup coming into town, and then you can't even make it across or whatnot, you know?
I think that some of the long-term needs as being kind of described here really speaks to the effort that COG is going through for the long-term 25 improvement project. So that is the effort that will look at the longer-term capacity issue that is being faced today in this county,
Yeah, but I think
in the morning and in the afternoon, so.
But your input,
I
appreciate
agree
this is
with
what we're looking for.
I agree with its comment to a certain point, but then you look at the 156 deal, and
Yeah.
is it really helping the traffic? It's just moving it quicker to the other spot, but if you don't have the intersections to handle it at the other ends, you got the same problem again.
Yeah, well, as part of the all three projects, there is gonna be, as part of the, I guess, the project report phase, you're gonna look at the environmental impacts, including a traffic.
And that's where you get the frustration, and that's where the highway patrol has to go out there and take care of all these frustrated
Just from
drivers.
project and delivery processes, how it works, when we're gonna initiate this project, they will be looking into all sorts of studies. And even though, Peter, I think you mentioned about there could be a roundabout on Shore Road, right? But there will be some traffic studies and operational studies to see is it feasible or not. So alternatives in our delivery phases are developed based on the study results. So I'm gonna say that, our team will look into it and see, if it's really feasible or not. It may not be feasible, then they'll look for another alternatives. But we're at the very beginning phase for both districts. So eventually down the road, they'll work together. But it need to be supported by the traffic studies, the operational studies.
And I know what you're talking about, how when you get to 156 and 101, that becomes a pinch point, because what's happening on 101? 101 is backed up. So we appreciate your point about it's bringing that problem down there. But with this effort and with our overall mindset is we are trying to address the immediate safety. We are looking to eliminate the fatalities, eliminate the serious injuries that are happening. And that lends itself to ideas like possibly a roundabout or like the diversion that's needed. It adds more, but to your day and to your operation. But it adds to the ability to prevent these crashes from happening.
I'm sorry, point taken, but if you're studying fatalities because of the roundabout on 156 and the lack of flow through lane on 101 southbound, it's very short, it gets very tight, and plus we gave up a lane as we come up the hill. We had our first fatality on Rocks Road last weekend because people are trying to find a way to get to 101. So here it begins. We've just pushed the fatalities further down the road without a game plan to address the overall problem that we have within County 4, or District 5 and 4. I know that we're not here to talk about that, but please don't think that you eliminated maybe fatalities on 156, but you just moved them onto 101 southbound and northbound. And it proved this past week.
I hear what you're saying. We do look at where the traffic is moving to. We don't look at a global scale, but I will say that we have been working with the county on Rocks Road and Cannon Road to eliminate that crossover.
It should be closed.
And that is what we have a plan currently to do. The contractor should begin work next month if we can get emergency services buy-in to the plan. So
that comment has come up before, it's an effort that has already been undertaken, is
So
already underway.
I'm gonna butt in because 25, do you foresee that remaining open during construction?
yes.
Yes.
Is there any possibility of doing additional frontage road that becomes agricultural based, because of safety concerns during construction? Is there some opportunities because of safety to add some frontage roads that maybe enhance the ability to move equipment through that area?
Not with this effort. I don't know what the long-term vision exactly will end up being with the Highway 25 improvement project, but not with the safety project.
For the next 5, 6.
Are you talking like on a temporary basis while things are under construction?
Gravel roads out there already that they
Yeah.
put in there for agricultural purposes. Could you extend those so that everybody has a little bit of an access in there? That does help quite a bit, keeping the farm equipment off those roads.
I mean, it sounds like a good idea. It's just what you're talking about is like a temporary road. We would have to evaluate that during the project development process, but those kind of ideas, we want to hear about that, so thank you.
Something to consider, because they're out
Yeah.
there. The lack of confidence. We farm in 156 San Juan Valley, and go through that whole situation for how many years? And describing, looking forward, macro, micro, knowing every square, every mile, how many automobiles, how about the traffic flow? Questioning, is there a seasonality to ag in the area? My God, if you don't know that, that's shocking. It is April, it's the produce deal, it's those refrigerated trucks you see going down there just bumper to bumper like a train moving through the valleys out here. It happens in April, it finishes at Thanksgiving. And it's huge. You see the impact immediately on the region when that starts up. The other issue, that's 101 San Juan. My God, we got all that beautiful road going through there to a single lane bridge over the top. That problem has been staring at you the whole time. So it's like, good Lord, what are we doing here? And we don't fix the bridge going over and then letting it flow into 101. The fatality that you just had at Rocks Road, you just put arrows on the brand new highway at Mission Vineyard and Cagney to make a left turn into traffic, that I'm gonna put my semis out there in the middle of the night, confused, and you guys did a brand new road and you did the damn same thing. What are you thinking? I don't want my semis making a left turn. I don't want somebody lost out there making a left turn into traffic out there. There should be no left turn. Please take them out. But here we go, you're doing it already on a brand new facility, beautiful road. Let's use some common sense. Don't do that to yourself. You're gonna have fatalities just like you just had on 101.
To those left turns, that has been brought to our attention previously, so I think there are some that are looking at that right now with the under the current conditions of the project.
And it's a shame, somebody's working on it. For God's sakes, just take the arrow out, put a sign up, no left turn, and get it over with. Don't even attempt it. The barriers are still up. Take them up.
Yeah, when it comes to going back to the 25, going back to the public safety aspect for these kind of short-term, more pressing projects that we need, what has law enforcement or emergency response agencies here locally or in both counties
Have they had any input, any sort of issues that they might think? I know we have CAL FIRE here, when we had a workshop a while back, they mentioned that maybe increasing the amount of barriers might be an issue for them to turn around. So I just wanted to see if you've collaborated with any, or at least received input from both county law enforcement and emergency services.
Yeah, the first group that we work with is CHP, so they're our go-to. But this meeting is really to initiate this conversation with CAL FIRE. Is somebody here from the sheriff's office?
I'm with emergency services.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, hi, Chris.
Sorry, I don't present them.
But we invited them, but they're not here. That said,
So the answer is yes, yeah, we do.
We are trying to work with
initially,
them.
and then from this point going forward as well, and hoping for that feedback of, if there is this additional barrier, there is this additional burden, seeking the input of what that means. And is that something that, we can work together on, and is something we can live with, the additional time.
Yeah, and I just wanted to piggyback to the comment regarding the closing of the 101 access at Rocks Road. Pete and his team met with the county and sheriff and fire department folks, firefighter folks, and they actually changed the design a little bit so that the emergency responders would have access through that median, but it's going to be closed to the public. So it was a good example of what you're suggesting.
So there are some things that we can do to accommodate access. Now, emergency use is different than ag use, but again, we want to get your feedback and see if there's something that we can do to accommodate what you need to get through the corridor safely. So this is obviously going to come at a cost. If we put barrier up, that means somebody isn't going to be able to turn there if there's a driveway. And so there is going to be some out of directional travel and costs to your operations. And I appreciate that you understand that that's saving lives, but we also understand that that's coming at a cost to additional time. Maybe go down the short road to turn around.
Well, in our business, time is everything.
Right.
The 156 project has not improved our drive time to Salinas for our product. It's still as bad or worse than it was last year. And the same thing with Highway 25. Timing's everything. If I've got a problem on one of my ranches and my guys have to go down, now if you're saying you're not putting a barrier along where my ranches are, then they gotta take their chances like they do now when the traffic breaks to cross to get to the other side of the ranch because the wells has a problem or something. And that's another added cost, and harvesting and everything else, because we harvest at night. We start 11 o'clock at night out there, and I'm not the only operation doing that. And they finish maybe at 6 in the morning. And they run in semis and tractors all night long, crossing the road and up and down the road and everything else. I don't even think you guys see that stuff. And you don't know about it, but it's out there.
Yeah, having that is important too, to know, in April to November, we know that. But April to November is also our construction season as well. So that's where then, when it gets to that, we just have to work closer to know, are there particular things we avoid? Are there particular times maybe the construction can work around? But the season, that April to November, that's also the time when you can build a road as well. So those are just some of the conflicting points that, if we hopefully can work together when we get to that point, can minimize and lessen the overall impact.
Question on CBS. Years ago, there was talk about at Old Balsa having some kind of little small overpass over 25 to let the trucks get over in the vehicles from Balsa and all of that, so that they stay off of making left and right hand turns on 25 for a little safer egress and ingress. Sounded like there was talk about it sounded kind of complex, and this is more like a District 4 thing. So I haven't heard much about it in the last few years, so I'm assuming it's gone. But if it's not, I was just wondering if it's still being looked at, and if maybe it's not feasible anymore because you feel you're going to take all the car traffic off, but you still got the trucks, and and then you're gonna have to have a bridge, 15 trucks long, is it a dead discussion, or is it still hanging out there about a little smaller overpass at the old ball center? Or do we?
We're talking about ZBES, it's just intersection enhancements like turn pockets, channelization. I'm not aware of any grade separated type of thing being happened, so it's, it'll all be activated.
So, back to the comment about commerce and trucks delivering products for ag during the day, because a lot of these improvements, which are great, are smallish type of constructions, maybe not the roundabout, but for the other improvements, could those possibly be constructed at night so that it wouldn't impede traffic during the day? I know it costs more, but they are smallish improvements, so just something to consider to reduce some of the delays for the ag trucks during the day.
Excellent comment, yeah, that's great feedback. Something.
Lester, was there an intersection evaluation for Bolsa?
No, not ISO.
No ISO, okay.
Yeah, I think we have plans, for future shop project, but it never materialized. I think it's now in the 2028 shop, so, yeah.
So what I'm hearing, Steve, is that it sounds like it's a ways out, but.
But it wasn't gonna be a flyover, it may be looking at either signalizing it or a roundabout, but it's not gonna have a structure or anything like that.
Lester, is the 25101 interchange project that's already underway planned to be completed before any of this would go into the construction phase?
We're gonna have to probably coordinate, I think, Tesla, when is the 10125?
Just started, right?
Yeah.
The 10125, it's gonna take at least close to 2.5 years. The target completion is in 2027 and at this moment.
Our District 4 project will need to coordinate with two projects, the 10125 interchange, and then also what was mentioned, the ZBES encroachment permit project. So those two are the ones that we need to coordinate, our project with those potential ongoing construction at that time. So
Potentially in the end some overlap, like the end and the beginning of.
And they're very in tail end probably, when 10125 will wind off and this safety will begin. And we'll coordinate that definitely with Valley Transportation, VTA.
So my concern with that is, obviously the project's impacting traffic, and we knew that. That's what happens when we do these construction projects, right? Is that now we're using modified traffic conditions that are already being impacted by a large project that's gonna take a few years to assess what the impact's gonna be. Yet when that project completes, traffic is hopefully gonna be in a completely different state. And that kind of goes to what these gentlemen are saying about the compounding issue of, the future planning. We're actually relieving, after we've now finalized all these plans based off of current conditions. The second we would start into that construction, we are relieving the traffic conditions that had existed that we all agreed made sense for this plan. So it's kind of a compounding issue, and I know you folks are traffic engineers and you study this, and you guys are the best at this, in my opinion, based on the complexity of the issues. But I think we need to find that balance, because the relief that's gonna occur when that interchange, the volume of traffic that's gonna be coming off the 101 and hitting the 25 is gonna spike. It'll be spiking around about the time we're implementing new plans for the current condition, not for that condition.
To any project, we are gonna, as mentioned earlier, the project report is gonna look at a traffic ops analysis, and they'll look at current year and future years, they should be taking into account all construction activities, or maybe something's holding something back now, so they should assess that at least in the traffic ops analysis,
We will need to work together in the coordination of these projects to figure out the least worst option for everybody, and that includes ag and EMS.
Because of the closeness of, the Santa Clara side is a short, 2.5 mile section. We have a longer section in San Benito, but the traffic is coming mostly, from Hollister or so, going down those two routes. into, 101 and then eventually at Santa Clara, right? And so
I
you
think
need to look at it as a whole.
Yeah, your traffic is slower up there in the District 4 coming off, because it's always backing up by Z-Best and everything, so the traffic's slower until it gets to about the railroad tracks, and then all hell breaks loose coming this way.
Mm.
It's a great thing that there's a concrete barrier out there. That makes all the difference.
Well, and whatever intersection improvement does go in at Shore Road, it will do something. It may slow it down at least to where it's not as fast, on an upside.
Then it gets more steady, then there's no brakes. That's the problem with me being close to a roundabout. There is no brakes. There's no brakes in the traffic. The traffic needs to get out of the way, and then you get a break because all of a sudden somebody does 50 miles an hour instead of 65. So all of a sudden, and people don't look at what's coming up on the shoulder and say, oh, I could slow down a couple miles an hour and that person could make a turn. No, it's like up yours. I don't know how to say it.
Happens every day.
Are you going to time these two projects so they're not simultaneous? Or are you gonna do them both at the same time and just create havoc across 25?
We'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. It may be, so, yeah, I mean, I don't, so this project is gonna be pretty easy to implement. It's the intersection, but the intersection improvement at Shore Road really belongs with the Santa Clara project. Because we're talking about restricting access, we need a location where people can safely turn around. So we're hoping that those can pair together.
So both projects will be at the same time?
Ideally, it would be such that the intersection is available for use by their project. We don't know if we can do an intersection project that quickly. So the answer is yes. We want them coordinated so that they're coming online for use at the same time.
No, I understand that, but so you're going to work both districts at the same time?
Yes.
May I recommend not to? I mean, just a common
I
sense
hear
idea.
it. I hear your concern and your pain. They belong together and it's a highway safety improvement, but there, again, what we'd be looking for is the least worst alternative. So there's gonna be some pain felt, delay, but we gotta do it. And so, but we are gonna be willing to talk to you and figure out the way that is gonna work the best to get these projects implemented.
And my suggestion, do not use 156 roundabout as the model. It needs to be bigger. The roundabout needs to be bigger, because if you're traveling alongside a semi, it's.
So you're talking about the same one.
I'm sorry, what did I say?
You said 156, they're thinking turbo versus the.
No, not.
You're talking about this.
I'm talking about the big city one. It's too small. It's too small. It's just very
That's a good
hazardous.
question. What size trucks were those roundabouts, the turbo and the other one built for? I've been wondering that.
They're slightly different. Yeah, the turbo can handle a larger truck, but it can't handle the extra legal loads or, bigger loads, they have to
No, but I
go
mean,
over the curbs.
when you guys had your public outreach just before you did the turbo roundabout on Highway 25, it wasn't designed for the standard large truck of today's route. It was, what's that, a 53 footer? It was not designed for a 53 footer. And I think they didn't build it for a 53 footer.
I feel like the turbo roundabout was built for terminal access.
No, originally designed was not. That was at the public meeting. I remember that at the Betts Memorial Building. Somebody said something, they go, oh, well, no, that's not a such and such highway for traffic, so we're not building that roundabout for that size truck.
Yeah.
That's true. I wonder, because I see them constantly going over the curb.
And then 156 was designated freight traffic, right? But they didn't design the roundabout to accommodate that. I was always confused on that. I didn't understand that. Could you explain that to me?
So it has a narrower inside radius, and so I was not involved in the planning and design for that, but my understanding is that the trucks can occupy both lanes on the Bixby roundabout
But,
at 156.
so I'm supposed to just like give way because they can use both lanes? Is there a sign
They're
there that
supposed to
says
make.
that?
Yeah, they're supposed to just.
I'm just saying that is a
yeah,
concern,
you should deal with
and
that.
we should not repeat the problem on
Mhm.
25. It's a problem.
One of the issues, if we were to design the roundabout so that two large trucks can go side by side through there, what happens is then the design speeds go up because you've got more pavement, can't deflect the traffic enough, and so now people are just racing through there. For safety reasons, we can't do that, and so if you go online and you look at ways for trucks to drive roundabouts, they actually show them, so they suggest that the trucks sometimes straddle the lane line so that people cannot go around them.
So they get a ticket, they clip something?
No.
Yeah, I'm confused with that thought process, but I'm just talking about a semi and a car going around Bixby roundabout is not big enough.
Car and truck side by side.
Again, I was not involved in designing it, I'm just giving you the theory behind
I-
design, roundabout
I
design.
appreciate the theory.
And that, yeah, that they're not.
Reality, it doesn't work well.
Well, the theory is in reality that maybe they're not supposed to be going side by side, but the truck is supposed to take up a little bit more.
But my comment was a semi and a car, so it still doesn't work well.
But your theory is wonderful, but it's not happening in practice. Like I avoid the turbo roundabout because they are occupied one lane, and it is, and with the barriers in between the lanes, it's frankly scary to merge into the roundabout because they are not straddling two lanes. They're attempting to cover one.
We're talking two different roundabouts here. I think so, yeah.
Sorry, my bad. I know mixed up.
I'm down.
It as is most things, everything in designing and implementing a project it's a balance too. Because as Diane said, the larger you make it, then the vehicles that go through will go faster, that creates an issue. And also the larger you make it, that means more right of way need to be acquired to do that as well. That comes at a cost. So it's taking all things into consideration, trying to balance. If it means that the trucks have to go slower because it's a little tighter, and we've avoided a well, or we've stayed out of a seasonal creek, or those are all the things that go into the play of making a design and how to position things. And for me, being the prudent driver, I would back off, and I do. I'd let that truck go through, and I take my own time and my own lane going through as well. So
We're questioning still, once again, do you guys know the traffic pattern? Do you have the data on every single mile, every single vehicle, the number of vehicles, the number of semis, what type of semi, what is going on out there? Because it just doesn't look like it. You're spending this money, you're rushing down to 101, it's completely not capable of handling the flow. The roundabouts are too small for what's going on out there. And it's disappointing after all this time to not see something that's truly well thought out and prepared for tomorrow's load. Because when you start to work on this 25, we were gonna bring 156 through San Juan to their knees. Is what's gonna happen. Everybody's gonna be coming back around, and it's not gonna be near enough capacity to handle. You guys had this fatality the other day, Grand Street weren't fully open. But the valley was shut down when that 25 was closed up.
All right. We are kind of getting close to our 5 o'clock time. We could continue talking like this. We're happy to break and talk, more one-on-one. Again, we appreciate, you coming out and you being here. It's our desire and hope to have a larger public meeting in general to share essentially this information as well. It was important that you were here so that we could, take this input. It does feed into the analysis of things. There are elements that we are certainly not going to be able to fix with this project, and things that are even difficult in the longer term. The 101, 156 example. All things in time, we hope, right? But we're also dealing with a finite amount of resources from the state perspective.
If you're gonna do a roundabout, make it right.
John, quick question, follow-up. Do you have staff here recording questions and answers so we can provide those for people who haven't been here and also for participation and strategy for your next meeting?
We actually didn't get to our last slide. That has a contact name.
Thank you.
She wasn't able to come, but Heidi Crawford from our Public Information Office has been designated.
It's animated.
Keep it. Yeah. I hate animations on PowerPoint. It seems good when you're making the PowerPoint, when you're delivering, it's your snag. So feel free to take a picture. Heidi works in our Public Information Office. She's not here today, but our team is making notes on the comments here today. Things going forward, if you have questions, please reach out to us. Heidi will pass on the information to the project development teams. And we may or may not at some point, maybe even create like a project website, depending how things kick off and the initiation goes. If we feel like that's important, we'll be able to do that. But we'll have another event, another public forum. This is the start of a lot of interaction with us on this. We wanted to get to you early, so maybe that's why some of the answers we have given aren't what you're on here, because we don't really know the answer yet. But it was important for us to get here to you here early so that we could get some input.
And to give a little background, so I work for Robert Reeves, y'all know. So we've done a lot of, as you can imagine, commentary over the years on 25. Yes, we know there's the larger conversation going on around 25 at a deeper level, how that route is gonna take. What this conversation was about was just what is possible in the shorter term, separate from that, because you can't combine the two. Because obviously that other one is more complex. The reason why this meeting happened to get today is, this isn't the only agricultural area in the region. We see the work going on, South 101, right outside Salinas. And so a lot of concerns that were brought up today, we heard going on as well in Salinas. And so when we talked to Caltrans, one of the things we mentioned was we definitely want to hear from agriculture about how things could be affected in this and what their feedback is going to be, because you all know how complex these projects are, and you've already felt the effects of these projects. Definitely wanted law enforcement and public safety here because they got to get to where they're going as well. And then as Caltrans mentioned, it's going to be opened up to the broader public. But the whole point of this is the project is not set in stone yet. The whole point of this today was to start early in getting what your concerns and feedback is, so they can start crunching away at that. So that was the purpose of today. It wasn't to tell you this project is kicking off tomorrow and it is set in stone. Tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, is just starting the planning. The planning, though, is going and coinciding with the feedback that starts today as well. Correct?
Well said.
Okay, thanks for coming out, everybody. We appreciate